Alright YouTube, here we are back again, and as promised we're going to have a look at the Alesis HR16. The Alesis HR16A, because they made two versions. They made the A and the B, just like our friend the Korg 55. What to say? Well, let's have a look. It's American made, which for me is quite a big deal. Year of manufacture 1987, I think 1988 and 1989, and then they moved on to the B, which probably took them up to the early 90s, 91, 92. Very popular model when it came out, and they sold a lot of it, which is why it's easy to get hold of. Because it's easy to get hold of, it's cheap. Let's quickly talk about any potential drawbacks and get those out of the way first of all. Number one drawback, as per normal for such a complicated, complex and professional machine at the time, it's only got 4 outputs. Yeah, so what that means, it's not a big deal at all, because we're going to get onto that, why it's not a big deal. But, you know, kick, snare, and two for the hi-hats and everything else on the top, basically. You can do it. I have done it on many occasions. But of course you're going to be working with a computer, so it's no big deal. You know, you're just going to track it up again and layer it again if so be. Now, I've had to think about how best to present this unit to you, and when I say that, what I mean is how to hook it up the best. In my opinion, well, let me put it this way. The last time I used this unit to do a track and program everything up internally, and just, you know, I pressed play and boom, out spewed the song, it took me 3 days of programming. I've had this unit, well, not this specific unit, but I've been working with this unit for about 25 years, so you would have thought, that gives you an idea, it's a real pig to program up. It's not particularly difficult programming, it's just to get an entire track in is complicated. It's complicated enough with the panning and the tuning and everything else and the pad arrangements. What I recommend you do with this unit is simply write the pattern on your computer, use MIDI, press play. What the hell? There's no internal groove in the machine that you'd want to hold on to, that you'd go, oh wow, that's just amazing, you know, I don't want to lose that. It's not an Akai. It's not, you know, a Lindrum, for example. It has no internal, really cool internal groove. So I got to the point where I was just like, okay, fine, let's just put let's do all the programming on a computer and get the sound generation out of the sound module. And I think that's really how you should treat it. Just treat it as a sound module where everything is assignable, all sounds are assignable to any pad. So yeah, basically you can assign anything to anything. So, you know, you're looking at about, well, it's hard to say, but I think there's probably about 100 sounds, 120. I've never actually counted them, obviously. There's a lot in there. What are they like? Well, alright. I'll give you a small taste because I can't play everything, but I'll give you an idea. At the same time, I'm also going to demonstrate the idea of, you're listening to a kick drum now. That doesn't mean anything. Because what I would normally do is layer and layer until I got it sounding right. I haven't done this today just simply because I'm making a review video, you know, I'm not writing a track here. So that's the kick drum there. So we're going to basically screw with that slightly, and we're going to go through some of the just some of the kicks. And let's turn the reverb off. You'll get an idea pretty quickly that by themselves some of the sounds are pretty shit. Now the big deal with this box is the tuning and the layering. That, unbelievably, is actually one of the better kick drums on it, if not the best. You know, I mean, for me, it's doable. With some work, it's cool. Okay, so let me just bring the rest of the pattern. So you can get an idea of how easy it is to just replace sounds very, very quickly, you know. So you're like, well, you know, that hi-hat's not really working, but let's just slam something else in there and see what the hell happens, you know. Once it's assigned, that's it. Okay, so we'll just leave that in now. Bring up the rest of the pattern quickly. Okay. So when you're over at your computer, what you've got is on each different key of your MIDI keyboard, you'll have a different sound right across the board. And you know, you just select one, write it in, select another, write it in, and trust me on this, you'll speed everything up by about a factor of about 50. You know, so you just write in a very basic pattern, and then you're just manipulating the tuning and your output assignment. Really, once you've picked your sound, that's pretty much how straightforward it is. What's the key to this machine? Okay, what is the key? The key to the machine is layering. Putting a kick here, putting another one here, putting another one here, and just getting them tuned, you know. It may be that you use all 4 outputs for just a kick drum. That's the kind of, you know, you can get very creative with it. So on many occasions I've used this unit to build kicks up, many occasions. It's totally doable for that. One of the things about the unit, it does have a kind of a sound, if that's the right word. It's mainly, it says 16-bit up here, but it's pretty grungy sounding, you know. And once you hear all that stuff layered up, you know, because you've got to imagine it all layered up, it does have quite a hard-hitting, solid sort of sound quality. Let's talk about famous users. Well, I've got a name drop at this point. I was in Orbital Studio and offered to buy this off them because I was just in the market for one. I get another one, I guess. They wouldn't sell it to me, so that gives you an idea. They've used it a lot. Orbital have used it on a lot of their, obviously in their 90s work, and it still shows up. I mean, I can't say that I could notice it in a track, but it definitely still shows up. Okay, price and availability. Like I said earlier in the video, it's easily picked up because it's American made as well. In the States, you're going to see stacks of these units. Don't even worry about getting hold of one. Your grandma's got one, you know. At some point they made a lot of and the sequencer to go with this, because it was kind of like a package deal. You got this and the sequencer, and I had both of them at the time, and they were both great units, really solid build quality. What's weird is you've got an instruction manual right in front of you in the car boot area, you know. Weird. There it is. I got to do it again. I just find that a really odd touch. I've never seen that before, I don't think. Maybe I have, I don't know. But it's a weird touch. So when you get lost, and believe me, they break it down. They break down the internal programming very well here. Just refer to that. You'll get through. That'll sort you out. And that's about it, really, I guess. I hope you're all super well. We'll be picking up the series again with a pure analog machine, a Mattel Synsonics. Which, is that a toy, is it an instrument, or is it a crock of shit? I do know, and you will have to tune in next Analog Masterclass to find out. So we're going to say goodbye to this Alesis HR16B. One of the last things to say about this unit is you can kind of track the progress of digital technology by the speed from, say, the stuff we've been looking at earlier, manufactured 81, 82, 83, to like the late 80s. In those 4 or 5 years, they've gone from, say, 8-bit sampling at the very best that you'd have to have literally enough money to buy a house. Those early samplers, you needed house-type cash to get your hands on one. No one had one. to this, which even like loser stoner like me in the middle of nowhere managed to get his hands on. So in those 5 years, it's 16-bit. Look, it's got an LED screen. You know, that's the speed. That's how fast things were moving back then, and how much the music was technology driven. And I guess in a way really does help explain the rise of techno music, because it's these kind of units that the techno heads were using, okay? Anything cheap. So, again, we'll speak soon. Take it easy. Bye.